Man, I love this shit. I was going through my little files today, and I was looking at the stuff that the Seattle police had actually gave to me.
Man, I love this shit.
One second.
I was going through my little files today,
Yeah,
and I was looking at the stuff that the Seattle.
Bam. My bad. However, but I was looking at my paperwork, and it's so epic, cause as I see it, I have files or whatever, videos. I'm gonna pull the video up so you guys can see it. You guys are gonna like it. I'm going to skip through certain parts because obviously everything is not that important. There's a lot of empty spaces where there's nothing that you can hear, but there's a lot of spaces where there are things that you can hear. Now, see, these guys talk that shit. I'm about that shit. I'm going to show you guys real quick how one of the cops fucked up and made a vital mistake by trying to, once again, they're police officers. They're not mental health evaluators. I think it's hard for them to say if they can't discern that a person is under the influence all the time, it's hard for them to discern a person's mental state. But let's go ahead and pull up this little video real quick. Come on. Right here. Sure. Whoa. Move that over. There we go. 1 second. Pause it real quick. There's a lot of stuff that's just there's no noise to. It's been redacted, even though they claim that this isn't a redacted one. It's just as edited as all the other stuff. 1 second. Let's see if it comes up. Still acting funny.
It's gonna be a theft at Trinity.
1 second. Oh, it's not gonna let me do it. All right, don't worry about it. I'll have to record the audio at those junctions. But I still, it would be better if you guys could see it. But not gonna worry about it. Let me read this to you guys real quick. I was working. This is last year, June 17, 2018. This is a police officer. I was working uniform bicycle patrol at 3D86. I was conducting a premise on Occidental Park. Myself, along with other 3D80 units, were flagged out of disturbance at Trinity. The call at Trinity resulted in an arrest. I was assisting in searching the arrested along with 2 other officers. The arrested was put in a patrol vehicle that was parked along northbound Occidental Road. This is very close to the hot dog vendor. While processing the scene of the arrest, the hot dog vendor began yelling at the officers. He began making multiple threats. He was stating he wanted to fight the officers. He also said something to the effect of, "I can't wait to take you out." Also, something to the effect of, "Take that body camera off and I'll fight you right now." He was also using very vulgar language, calling officers niggers repeatedly. This interaction was unprovoked by officers. I did not identify the hot dog vendor as he was so escalated. I did not want to cause further aggression. After the arrested left the area, the remaining officers left the area of the hot dog vendor. Now, stop right there. How did the arrested leave the area if he's arrested? Right. Now I'm gonna pull something up. I'm gonna just play this little audio part so you guys can hear what they're talking about, because I can pretty much skip right there.
it, and the guy said, let's split it, and I said no.
Listen, dude, just be honest. Are you in there working with someone that just...
They're mad because dude had money on him. Right on. They can't prove that this dude took anything, man.
Okay. We're not talking.
Now check this out. Listen.
Tell you what, we gotta fill a little bit of paperwork. So we're gonna have you sit in the back of the patrol car, okay? So why don't you stand up for me? I'll walk you over there. Can we put him on the driver's side? Absolutely.
All I asked was, are you all right?
We can. We're gonna go around the other side. We're gonna go to the driver's side, okay? Run.
Now stop right there. One of the officers has said, mind your fucking business. That's why I said I didn't ask you, motherfucker. I asked him.
Talking to you. No one's talking to you. No one's talking to you. Okay, watch your head while you go in there. While you're in here, you're being audio and video recorded, okay?
Now you guys hear me in the background going all in on dude, but the real story right here is, and that's pretty much the end of most of it. Call him a nigga a few times, nigga, but they said I was saying nigger. That's why I was like, I don't remember saying nigger to these dudes. I remember something like that, you know. However, the fact of the matter is this. The dude had already been out there for like 10, 20 minutes. Let me tell you guys something. I've watched people at that same location. I've watched people literally go to their vehicle, okay? Get in their vehicle, start it up, pull out of the parking lot, hit something, stop and get out. The police come over there, arrest them. Drive off with this motherfucker immediately. Car getting towed. No questions asked. My whole thing is that if I let you listen to the very beginning of the video, because some of the audio is redacted so you can't hear everything, some of the people, a lot of the chicks are like, well, he didn't take nothing from me. So my whole thing is like, how can you prove that this dude did anything? Right. There's no way to. They said that this dude was pickpocketing people, and that's why I was like, there's no way he pickpocketed anyone and didn't get hands physically put on him. You're in a club full of security guards. You're telling me that not one of the security guards was going to do anything? And I'm going to get into the whole point of talking, walking, and acting. Talk, walk, and act. But I just need to lay down some of the ground. Now, I just now realized that I had this video. Now, there's other officers who had their body cameras on who I was directly talking to, because I was talking to one dude in particular. You see what I'm saying? Now, they're saying that I began yelling at them unprovoked, but as you guys can tell, my words are responsive, not reactive to what they're doing. I'm responding to what somebody else has already said to me once I asked this man, are you okay? Are you all right? Now, apparently, I'm doing something wrong by asking, bro, is he all right? That's illegal. The only reason why I cared is because he's black. That's the only reason why I cared, because he's black. Bearded black man. Right. So I did what I thought was not only the right thing, but what I would want for somebody to do for me, which is check on my well-being, because I'm in the hands of a bunch of these dirty ass motherfuckers. Now, there's a part where one of the cops tries to say, oh, he's just getting worse. You know, maybe it's a mental health thing. I can't wait to bring that up to a judge, where I'm like, who are police officers who are part of a fraternity of officers who have constantly had their brutality measures questioned and checked, excessive force, things of that nature, and overall corruption in general? Who are they to talk like that? But the point is this, y'all. See, when I say things like I stand up for my people or I am for my people, it's because I mean that. It's because I actually do that. It's because at the end of the day, there's going to be folks who don't respect what you do. There's going to be folks who don't like what you do. But if you maintain being true to yourself, you know, and that's doing everything that's true to yourself. That's not just a part. That's not just a little piece. That's that's the total function of all. What I'm going to ask you is something simple. How many people do you know? How many characters do you uh, give time to, give your ear to? I won't say entertain so much, but you, on some level, you patronize them. How many of those characters do you know only talk? You've never known of the actual walking, the movement for things, you see? Because, see, talking is a verbal action, but it's not a physical action. And walking is a physical action, but it's not an aggressive action. So when I say action, I mean something that is more not violent in nature, but it just normally uses more energy, something that takes more from you. And you have a lot of people who speak about things, talk about things, but the things aren't real to them. See, a lot of people would have been like, I have a job to maintain. I got a job to keep. I got money to make. You, you can only use that for so long. At what level do you not want someone to stand up for you? At what level do you not find it worthy or worth the call to go out of your way for someone? At what level would it take for what do you feel is worthy for someone to do something for you? I didn't do anything that night. All I did was speak up for the dude, and they acted as if what I did was, was went over there and put my hands on him. So that's why I said, bro, I'll beat you up, because the one dude was talking real reckless, and all of his body language is so disrespectful. And that's why the guy was like, I doubt it. No, bro, I'll beat your ass. That's the see. That's not a threat. Me saying something like, as a matter of fact, like, no, I'm sure that's the case. That's not a threat. That's kind of me just saying, like, that's an affirmation. Like, I'll smash you. So if I know that's the case already going into the situation, I'm not threatening you to tell you, yo, I'll beat you up if you do that. That's just like a parent to a child, or an older teenager to a younger teenager who's pretty sure I got the upper hand on this guy. Like, it's one of those type of situations where you just know you're not going to lose. Versus one of those dudes, or even three or four of them, I'm not losing, and I know it. So it's one of those things where they could claim I got worse, but the idea that a person would say that I got worse just simply speaking up for a person, okay, is ridiculous. Totally ludicrous. Now that we've gotten the premise of talk, walk, act, because the walking that I've had to do, not just the literal, but the metaphorical walking of bringing my presence to a place where it can be made known, and making my grievance known. See, once again, because you have to combine them all, and then taking formidable action that has forced these people into the direction that they're in right now. I think it's awkward that they lied and nothing has actually been looked at as far as their lives are concerned. With that said, in regards to that, it's your job as a person to check on the well-being of somebody. You see what I'm saying? For someone to try to tell you what you can't do, bullshit. Which is why the video was redacted in the first place. Edited is a fancy word for redact, or redact is a fancy word for edit. However, this week, outside of your president going to summits and sitting down with little Kim Jong, and people thinking that nothing actually happened, or that there was nothing fruitful that took place, many beneficial things for the Korean Peninsula actually did take place and did happen. Um, um, got a little article. Let me see if I can't find my way to it real quick. 1 second. I said it was a big one. 1 second. And it's really it was really kind of funny. You know, not funny, but just like, oh, okay. See how I see how these things are really gonna go for us. You know, here we go, right here, bam. So once again, I told y'all, you know, you have to look out for the small little things that are taking place in the world, and sometimes it just means being honest with yourself. Now I'm gonna pull up this article. It's about little Stephon Clark. Mind you, guys, when Stephon Clark was first murdered by the police, I actually did a video maybe like 30 or 40 minutes after the story came out. But I knew people were going to vulture around the man's name, and I knew that they were going to do that. I knew that was going to happen, so I just let it be. I actually have pictures with the dates on them that will supplement what I'm saying. I have pictures that like the save date of the pictures are older than anybody's uploads about Stephon Clark, you know, by at least a day, maybe even 2 or 3. But let me pull this up. And they're not gonna charge the dude who murdered him. See what I'm saying? Now, right here. 2 Sacramento police officers who shot a black man after mistaking his cell phone for a gun will not face criminal charges. Prosecutors announced Saturday, a decision likely to spark protests in the state capitol and prepare legislation for stricter use of force laws. So do you see this right here? You see what they're trying to use this man's death for? To propel legislation for stricter use of force laws. Wow. Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Mary Schubert said officers Terrence Mercadal and Jared Robinette acted legally when they fired 20 rounds at Stephon Clark, 22, last March after chasing him into his grandmother's backyard and apparently confusing his iPhone for a weapon. The incident prompted large protests and fueled statewide police reform legislation that led to a new transparency measure allowing greater public access to law enforcement records. Many in the black community have previously said that they did not expect Schubert to charge the officers, and despite heavy rain, Sacramento braced for more unrest over the weekend as word of the decision spread. It's just another day of being black in a community that doesn't believe black people's lives matter, said community activist Barry Axius before the announcement. So, of course, we will go out and stand accordingly. Now, let me just go ahead and stop right there and speak to this right here. This is all about talk, walk, act. What they're doing right now. See, his family, it doesn't matter how people think is being done. I don't agree with what they're doing. I don't think that this is the way that you get what you are trying to accomplish done. You know, because greater oversight, this and that, it doesn't bring justice to the blood spilled. It doesn't actually do anything to the people who are the perpetrators. You know, all rules should be looked at and improved at all times. They shouldn't wait for tragedies to take place for these things to happen. There should be training where police officers train with each other for hypothetical things and then realize from the results of those hypothetical situations, well, this could happen with a real person if it just happened with us. So we should make rules or, you know, have policies that will curb either the effects of this or will curb the action of it, period. Let me just go ahead and keep moving. Clark was shot on March 18 after police answered a 911 call about vandalism. Mercadal and Robinette responded and directed to Clark by a deputy sheriff's department helicopter spotted Clark allegedly breaking a sliding glass door in a nearby backyard. One moment. Close that nonsense down. Then jumping a fence into his grandmother's property. The two officers pursued him, firing 10 shots each after one officer yelled that Clark had a gun. Clark was hit at least 7 times. I want you guys right here to stop right there. This is the whole point of what I'm talking about with the situation at the dude at the place. They're saying that you did something, right? But normally, okay, when somebody's accusing you of theft, right? Like you have to prove that he actually stole whatever that you. It was just cash. They only found money on this dude. That doesn't mean he did anything. Right on. So you're telling me that this guy must have been broke? He just didn't have any money? Come on, man. Well, there was no viable witnesses who were like, yeah, he did this and this and this. No, nobody said anything like that. Anyway, shit is crazy. Just saying that you did something is enough for these motherfuckers to act aggressive. A second review of the incident by State Attorney General Javier Becerra likely will be released soon. According to his spokeswoman, though, not today. The Sacramento Police Department requested that the State Department of Justice assessment to ally community concerns about the impartiality of the investigation. Ed Abayashi, a lawyer and Plumas County Sheriff's Department deputy who consults statewide on use of force, said Schubert's analysis was a reflection of current case law and that the decision against filing charges was legally sound. It would be a complete abuse of prosecutorial powers if she did, he said. There is no way they can prosecute this beyond a reasonable doubt. Now stop right there. This is the excuse. They're saying that because they don't think that they can win, they're not going to go after it. It would set a precedent just to go after them. If they just went after police like they go after criminals, there's no 100% guaranteed rate that you're going to get somebody guilty. The only people who have that high of a clearance rate for prosecution are the feds. And that's because they take years to put together cases on people, pay people's family members to turn on them, all kinds of unscrupulous activity that they find okay and that they justify. But if someone else did that to them, it would be illegal. However, let me just keep it pushing. Clark's brother, Stevante Clark, said in a recent interview with The Times that he believes Mercado and Robinette should face charges. The police department failed, Clark said. Clark's family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city seeking up to $35 million in damages. Stevante Clark has also become a vocal advocate for police reform and is supporting Assembly Bill 392, which would make it easier to prosecute police involved in shootings. Law enforcement unions have put forward their own bill, Senate Bill 230, which would address use of force through policies and training. Faith leaders were preparing the response Saturday morning and are expected to release 4 demands later this afternoon, asking the city to fire the officers, grant the city police commission investigative powers, adopt a local use of force policy that mirrors AB 392, and for the city to endorse the legislation. You can have all the transparency you want. If you have no accountability, it's worthless, Clark said. And he's absolutely right. I can see you doing wrong, but if I can't hold you accountable for your wrongdoings, then what's the point of me seeing you doing wrong? What's the point of me seeing you do wrong? Man, that article couldn't have ended better. Now, they talked about how this dude did all the buck dancing, all the cooning and all that nonsense or whatever. But let me tell you something. Dude was so hurt when his brother was killed that whatever ideas people put into his head probably seemed like a good idea at the time. Now, what this has to do with talk, walk, and act. You don't get anything done by, once again, not doing anything. But they're not questioning, but they didn't say this dude had a mental health issue for getting on top of a table, jumping around, doing all this stuff, dancing and all this stuff, right? You get what I'm talking about? Now, granted, his brother got murdered by the police, but I did something that, in my eyes, was preventive to someone being hurt, and And on top of that, this is how the world operates. They talk about things, they walk, and they act. Okay? The walking creates the momentum needed for the other actions that are going to take place. If you're at home and you need to go to work, one must move their body on some level, either from here to a vehicle, to the vessel that they need to be transported within, so that way they can achieve their goal. Only then through the action of walking, but it's a small action. It's a intermediary action, if you will. It's much like putting on your clothes. You must have hands to do that. If you don't, it's much more difficult. Number one, but number two, it's foreseeable that you can't put on your own clothes. With that said, putting on your clothes are an action, but they're not something that's going to propel you further right then and there. They're part of the propulsion. You must understand that to speak normally comes from a thought. So all these things work in conjunction with one another, and they are repeated continuously to achieve the goal, whatever the goal may be. Now, this is why I spoke so long about the wall, because there was some talking, some walking, and some acting that went forward. Now, people might not see it, but Donald Trump got almost a third of the money that he wanted for that wall. So if you don't think that a third is enough money to start with building construction in the most major areas, once again, the person is deceiving themselves. I have no need to make this up. You must do what you must do so that way you can win. If people understood that the officer told me to mind my fucking business, right on, I can ask this dude if he's all right all I want. It doesn't matter. This dude could have just killed somebody. Right on? I don't know what he killed him for. Maybe he had a reason for killing him. I can still make sure that this person's well-being is okay. They killed somebody and I don't agree, I don't have to worry about anything. If I thought that he done something wrong, can you dig it? You're telling me that this guy was pickpocketing people and security didn't do nothing? And listen, he's stuck around for the police to come get him? Are you serious? No, he was dancing with some chick, right on, and he was probably a dope dealer or something like that, probably selling drugs, doing something. That's why the guy was like, oh, a pickpocket's not enough? That's not a criminal? And it's just like, I'm thinking in my head, like, you guys don't even make sense. I want y'all to really put this in your head. You go to a grocery store, people standing in line. You somehow finagle your way into some woman's purse who's with her husband. Oh, forget it. She's just with her brother, one of her male cousins. She tells this man, you think he's going to wait for the police to get there to rectify that situation? I want y'all to really think about that for a moment. That doesn't make sense. I'm not only saying that because it just doesn't make sense, but I'm saying it because there's a level of reasonable suspicion that people accumulate if they see something happen. There's people who are in relationships that swear up and down their significant other is unfaithful, but their significant other is faithful and loyal. It's just the way that they conduct their movements makes them suspect, makes them questionable. This is a fact. So when I say what I'm saying, just understand that the young man, Mr. Clark, who was murdered last year, his family had there was no reprieve given to those people. they never had anything given to them that was going to make them feel better or make them believe as if something was going to happen. Now, are they speaking as if this man's brother, once again, has an illness because he's fighting for legislation that can change the laws out there? But it's like, I'm still alive. I'm fighting litigation, have to pay bills, have to pay. It's like, who's supporting this guy? Like, what does he do in the meantime? You see what I'm saying? And this is a big part of the talk, walk, and act, is because resources depend on how much talking you can do. They depend on how much walking you have to do. And it also says how much action you're capable of taking. A person with no resources can only take the most base level of action. Okay? A person with limited resources can only walk so far, metaphorically speaking or in literal terms. And their speech, if they're hungry, right? If they're needy, in need of cosmetics, whatever the desire is, the person cannot function and operate. This is a fact. Talk, walk, act. There is no substitute for any of these things, and they're all intertwined. I can't explain to you enough how the dirt plus the seed, and then the tree that comes from the seed, and the potential fruit that buds from the tree are all interconnected. They are all part of the same process, as is the rain that falls upon the earth to cause this process to take place. It is much like talk, walk, and act. Because each part, you can't see how the rain causes for the grass to grow. You can't see how the rain causes for the soil to become nourished. These are things that people must understand. Good evening, sister. The idea of talk, walk, and act is much like mind, body, soul. You see, there are things that people can do physically within their body, but without the ability to think, one will not engage in these activities. So therefore, there will be no talking because they haven't thought of it. Therefore, walking will not be something that they need to do for this in particular application, and their actions will be even less. I can't stress it enough. This week was an epic week for the things that have taken place in this little country that we're in. I could use how this very unfortunate case against one Robert Kelly is a prime example of talking, walking, and acting. People must understand that they spoke about what he done. Then what did they do? They put together the resources and the people to produce a project about the man. And then through that, action was taken. Now you must understand, these are all concerted efforts. Without one, there will not be another. There can't be. There's the most basic follow-on of each one of these things is the other. And sometimes they become muddled steps. Sometimes there's more talking than walking in action, because the talking is tantamount to walking in action. Sometimes your action is the talk and the walk. Sometimes the walk is the talk and the action. It just depends on which junction, what set of circumstances a person is particularly faced with. I'll give you guys a prime example from my life right now. Once again, I was at court, had a guy who I was speaking to before, and I thought the guy was being nosy, white guy, right? But he's a foreigner. He's from like Germany or something like that. He wasn't speaking English, and it sounded like pretty sure it was German. Pretty sure. If not, it was like Dutch or something like that. But anyway, the guy's name was Stefan. And this character says how he was so inspired by his by listening to me speak or whatever about this the situation that I was going through, right? And he was like, you should become a lawyer and this, that, and the other. And not that I'm telling you guys my business, but I actually am working towards learning whatever it is that people need to take the bar test. Uh, Throughout this year, I'm gonna get my hands dirty uh, because I don't see me being able to go to Geneva this year. Um, I'll have to wait till at least September to get everything cleared. At least September for everything to be cleared for the stuff here in Tacoma, and then the stuff in Seattle. There's no. I don't know how that's going to work out just yet. So we'll see. But the whole point is this: the guy was like, "You should, do this, this, and this with the law." And I said, "Well, I'm on my way to doing that, but I'm, trying to navigate other waters so that way I can get things figured out." Now, while this is happening, the public defender for my case she's standing off maybe about a foot away, foot and a half away. She can hear everything that I'm saying. You know, I'm not unreasonable. I'm just irrational. And my irrationality comes from understanding that the other groups don't act within reason. Do you understand what I'm saying right now? Because the other people are unreasonable. I'm irrational. I will only reason with them when I see that their ability to reason has either come to fruition or it's been remanifested. Whichever one it is, I'm not really concerned with. I'm more worried about the ability to be able to actually do something about that. Now, one of the scariest things, the most bothersome things about the situation that I'm going through is that people don't get that you have to do everything that I'm saying right now. There has to be a level of speech that you engage in. You have to be involved in a certain level of actual physical movement. And if it's not physical movement, then it's a metaphysical movement that would achieve the same purpose as one walking. It's a low frequency action. And then the act of acting, the energy used for that process will take place and be manifested from the momentum that you've done in the other two, from the talk and the walk. See, there's a lot of people who be like, I don't talk, I just take action. And it's like at some level they have to think. And if the thinking produces conversation within, then they have spoke. Maybe not out loud, but they've talked to themselves. Once again, the walking and the action can be so closely related sometimes, and the talking, all these things can be so closely related, or they can happen so fast. It seems like a instantaneous chain reaction, spontaneous combustion, if you will. And this is why sometimes people think that one is the same as the other. But the ability to not talk, not walk, and not act may be more actionable than doing all three of those. So let me go ahead and discuss that. Stoic, or whatever they want to call it, catatonic, even. If a person has nothing to say and they won't engage, it's depending on the circumstances, it speaks volumes. It says exactly what it is that they feel or what they're attempting to convey. And in this sense, once again, a person would still have to think in their mind to do this. You wouldn't just do this out of nowhere. There would be something within you that propels this to happen, to take place. It's going to be a long, long 2019. But people don't believe that this year is going to be a special year. It's already started off with so much energy, so much tumult. It really has. It's been an epic year. I, for one, am taking advantage of whatever it is that it will give to us. I'd like to first off say that you have to be accountable for yourself. That's part of the action. But that comes from the talk and the walk first. Like the young man said, transparency is no good if you cannot be held accountable. It couldn't have been more correct. It doesn't matter if that's his own conventional knowledge or someone else's. The fact that he spoke the words out of his mouth, he talked them out, means that a person can walk to what he said. They can say, well, he said this and this makes sense. Boom. Once you start the movement in that direction, that's how you are able to take action. Now, do I believe in voting and all that stuff? Of course not. You know I don't. Do I believe that anybody should do anything about any of this? No, not really. It's not going to. Rules are no good if you can't enforce them. So as much as my man is worried about the accountability, I am more worried about the enforcement of a law and how it's enforced. Once again, would white people feel the same if Arab, Indian-looking dudes were snatching up their sons and daughters and shooting and killing them in the streets? No. And they damn sure wouldn't like it if it was a black man doing it. Would be up in arms. You notice that those types of killings almost never take place where a black officer shoots a white person. They don't even try to make those headlines known because chances are the white man had like 10 axes and a machine gun plus a grenade, right? You know, and so they're like, no. This guy will be looked at as a hero. We'll put that out there. So what they do instead is they say, okay, we're going to pull up this video or we're going to pull up this arrest of this black man who we're going to say he resisted arrest. Okay. We're going to say that he did wrong. He committed wrong. Now, what's worse, though, is that when they do this and they make up whatever thing that they want to make up in their minds, they put off the idea that this person is a thief or whatever. You see what I'm saying? And that's the power of the talk. Just speaking. The fact that the punk ass officer was able to say that, oh, he may have a mental health issue, where they're using the ERPO with the idea that people have mental health issues. You see what I'm talking about? So you see how they tried to do all that right there or whatever. Now they can't even now they're talking about I'm just getting worse, but the last time we actually had a physical interaction with one another, they claim it was over a year from that. You see what I'm saying? So how can I be getting worse than if the last time you spoke to me or we had a freaking interaction was over a year ago? Right. That doesn't even begin to conclude to make sense. But if you put that kind of nonsense out there to another person who's operating at the same speed and frequency you are, it gives them the ability to walk. And then now action is foreseeable. See, World War I, a lot of people talk about the Tsar being assassinated. But what most people don't talk about is the bombing of the Lusitania. I cannot stress how important the bombing of the Lusitania is. It was It was the rallying cry for the Americans. Remember the Lusitania. That's how it went. I know it's hard to remember for a lot of people, but it's no different than anything else. You must speak it first. Then you move about. Then action. There's a reason why I understand what I understand. It's because I'm committed to learning things that other people aren't committed to learning. So, this week in the world, outside of all that nonsense that I like to spew out of my mouth, your young man finally being told that there will be no justice for his death. But what I wanted to point out was going to be a lot more stores shut down here real soon. You know, Victoria's Secret to who was it? Payless and a couple other stores. They're all feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. But people don't even respect the most basic things. You have to you have to reciprocate what they put out. You see, and when you talk about things, like for example, when I figure out how to get this video processed for YouTube, then I'm going to be able to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, and then you'll understand the whole movement of what I'm saying. It'll probably be 3 or 4 different little videos, just so that way it's not too long. But the point is, the idea is, if I can show you guys that no matter what they're trying to say, one force has to act against you at all times in order for something to happen to you. If something bad or good can't happen for you or against you if that's not the case. Now, while I get ready to go all in about, the crazy stuff that's going on in places like China, talk, walk, and acting there, I could use the most basic way how the Americans pretty much started this trade war with the idea of trying to slow down their tanking economy and trying to not grease the wheels too much of the Chinese so-called growing economy. But let me just tell y'all this right here. Most people don't know that a lot of the busiest skyscrapers that were in Hong Kong that were just in use are no longer in use because of the trade war, because it's literally killed that many the trade war has killed that many businesses in China. Nobody knows that. They can't tell you that because they're not looking for it. This has to do with talking, walking, acting. Your man D. Treasy said, look, they're ripping us off. I'm going to fix it. This is his way of doing it. So when you deal with a person who, once again, I need y'all to really understand that all 3 of these things are more subtle. They don't happen, loud and boisterous. And even if they do come off with the tinge of energy, that's only because you noticed it and you acknowledged it. Yes, sister. You have whole ghost town skyscrapers in China right now. Big fear, big fear. They're not going to be able to, places and companies that invested into No, the backlash that they're facing in China is the retaliation. So, for example, if there's a company that did business with China here in America that had to close, right? The Chinese take that as a scalp, even if that, unless that business was, putting actual money into their economy, like where they're like it's measurable. That's a form of retaliation to kill off an American business. That's one less competitor, and then we put somebody else there from our country in that same position. Now we're dealing with the person who's like us in their country. We double down on our effort. So it's the same thing for Trump and them. A lot of people don't know that China's biggest foreign investor last year and many years before that has been America. America dumped a shit ton of money into Chinese stocks last year. Right. But people don't know that. Why would they do that? To slow the bleeding, not stop it, but to slow the bleeding of this trade war. They're not stupid. Whoever is on Trump's team is not stupid. They seem like they're stupid, but they're not stupid at all. They're playing a dangerous game. It's dangerous what they're doing because, let's say hypothetically, Chinese stocks tank. All that money that you put in there, wasted. Let's say the Chinese forced their markets to tank for some odd reason. You lose all that money. All the money you lost is gone, and then all of a sudden markets resurge. This type of stuff happens all the time. So you never know. You can never really say. But I would assume that the markets that they invested in are markets that they're helping to control. So it's almost like we're going to make sure that these businesses do well in China, so that way our money can grow a little bit, so that way we can stem the tide of all the money that we're losing by this bad deal for everybody. So, I mean, retaliation, once again, it's just like the talk, walk, and act. It can be so subtle, that only you and the other party know. It's much like when these so-called rappers today make a song and they call it sneak dissing, right? And pretty much a sneak diss is just where you say something to an individual or about an individual and it's coded language where only normally they will understand, or people who are close to the matter at hand will understand. And so the form and the art of retaliation is very, 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 very closely related to that, because a person can retaliate against you where only you know that they just took action against me. You see what I'm saying? So they talked, walked, and acted all at once. And it might have been something as subtle as you saying, hey, can you hold the door for me? And them not holding the door for you. And you might know exactly why they didn't hold the door for you. Now, it could be a petty reason. It could be something real petty. It could be something real lightweight. Or it could be something that obviously they feel a little bit stronger about. And they feel like it's not that petty and it's not that lightweight. I always like to tell Black people, how things are going to go for us, if I can. Whenever I can't tell you how it's going to go for us, it's normally just because what's going on isn't so clear. Right now, it's pretty clear. What's up, Martin? But right now, what's happening to Black people, I mean, it's pretty clear to me. I don't know how else to say it, but it's like some of us are rooting for our own victory, and then some of us are cheering for our own defeat. It's like this. There's Black people who are standing with people who are from south of the border, and they feel as if there should be no wall at the border. These people should be able to come here, seek asylum, this, that, and the other. Now, without getting too carried away, a lot of these people are descendants of slave owners, you know what I mean? Or people who participated in the slave trade. So they're rooting on their own defeat because these people will come up here and usurp your position. If they can't usurp you, they'll undermine you in any way, shape, or form. Right. So then when you have that dynamic, now let's go for the people who are obviously wanting their own victory to come into play. They're like, go ahead and build the wall. Now, people are like, well, if they build the wall and it's actually built the way that they're saying it's going to be built, they're like, how can you get out? I'm like, you can't. That's the purpose. That's the point. It's for you to not be able to leave it as freely as you please, to not just diddy bop and gander about as you please. Why do you think they're trying so hard to criminalize so many acts? Why do you think they're trying so hard to hit people with convictions right now at this point in time? Because next year, in order to fly, I forget when it takes place next year. Like you guys had already said before, you know, it's the whole nation. But when I first found out, I only thought it was Washington because they call it the Washington State ID Act of 2020. But apparently, the ID Act of 2020 will make it to where if you don't have a passport or an enhanced ID, you can't get into certain facilities, nor can you get on an airplane, pretty much, because you can't get to the facility without it. It's going to hamper the movement of so many people. Now, who does this really actually affect? This affects immigrants with bad papers and fake papers. It affects them more than anyone else. And then right after that, who does it affect? It affects all the black felons. Now, the reason why I don't put the black felons first is because they already can't travel to certain places. They already can't do certain things. You know, not that getting on a plane for them is illegal, but they may have restricted travel within the country. They may not be able to go to certain states, or they may not even be able to leave their state, depending on, you know, what kind of rap they have as a character. And yes, that can happen to you, where your state will bar your ability to leave the state. Yes, they can do that. States around or states that you've been to and visited can bar your ability to ever come back to the state. You can be permanently banned. Right, where if you enter the state and you come through any kind of access point where they have to identify you, they can arrest you right then and there, so long as they have the list updated. This is meant to really shut down a lot of stuff. So, you know, when I talk about talk, walk, and act, when I speak on it, you know, I'm not so much hitting up talkivism right now or comparing it to activism. Because the talkivists, they play the role that they play. You know, they're not a totally useless character or a vestigial limb, so to speak, but they're not always helpful. Talking can only do so much. It can only achieve and accomplish so much. At some point, you have to walk and you have to act. And to do the walking part, okay, you could argue that no one can identify you by the walk, but through your actions, they can. No, people wouldn't know who Martin Luther King was if he hid his face all the time. How do you think he would have been able to organize all those people way back in the day, hiding his face from everybody? That would have been impossible. It would have been totally impossible. What up, Steve? So the whole point is this right here is that this ID Act of 2020 gonna shut down a lot of people. Gonna shut a lot of people down. It's gonna boister airport security's ability to be able to refine and hone their skills better. So people who've been still smuggling dope on the planes and stuff like that, that's just coming to an end. There's going to be way less. It's going to hurt the airlines. It's going to hurt the airlines. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them. The airlines would have to start like private charter planes or something like that. You know what I mean? That are serviced at the same airport, maybe at a junction where federal facilities, things like that, are not important. However, I'm dead ass. People don't understand what the fuck is coming. Travel, it's going to get more expensive, but it's going to be way more exclusive, you know, as to who's serviced by travel. You understand what I'm saying? So now let me just get off of that for just half a second. If you go back to them building this wall, right? People not so much coming up from south of the border now. Bam. You talk about the ID Act real quick. Bam. And then you're talking about people not being able to move as freely as they used to. Okay. Word. God forbid. God forbid. And as you're saying, sister, that's right. Restricted and exclusive. To me, that's the whole point of all of this. See what I'm saying? Because you have poor people who live in areas, you know, in bad neighborhoods, and they still find the money and the time to go travel and go places. Government said, fuck that. We're shutting that down. That's for people of means. Right? Nobody wants to hear that. I'm not a man of means, so don't worry. I'm not shucking and jiving and talking nonsense because, I'm about to be one of these people eating and you know, I'll tell y'all what Cabo's like. No, that's not what's about to happen. What's happening is I'm just speaking on it. I told people that they were going to send the feds in to Chicago. Ain't nobody listened to me. Way before it even happened. I thought they were going to send in an actual National Guard, but they sent in the feds. And I was waiting for, and I remember the weekend that caused for it to happen. It was a damn Halloween, and they had like over 100 people get shot. A whole bunch of people died. Soon after that, feds got sent in. Now each year, incrementally, people have been dying less. Now they're not going to say that January, February, they can thank somebody or something that it got so cold that the killers is like, I'm cool. Cool off all the killing. I'm straight. Plus, dudes are hearing that they're putting together federal cases against people. So it's calmed a whole lot of them down. Guys are starting to hear that some of these dudes that are moving into the city, who they think are making big moves, right, are actually feds. Shit is so crazy. Man, this shit is crazy. Anyway, when you have these sort of dynamics, right, where now JoJo from Chicago is going to have to get on Greyhound. It's going to be a must. I mean, who knows how this ID Act is going to affect your ability to get on a Greyhound bus? You know what I'm saying? Or on a train. There's no telling how it's going to affect everything. There's no telling. And they've got a year and better to prepare themselves and get ready for all this. Now, once again, we're holding this year to the fire. So if we get out this year, we're going to dog that 1619 myth, legend, whatever it is. I'm going to dog walk it for a few days straight next year. You understand what I'm talking about? So we're 3 months in. We're almost a whole quarter into the year already. Can you feel me? 1 quarter into the year already. Right. That's the whole point of these weekly updates, is so that way we can hold to the fire the things that are most important to us, because we want to know, when are we getting the fuck up out of here? That's it. That's all I care about. I hope that's all you care about. These dudes didn't have to tell Demetrius that his people were descendants of slaves. I've been saying that. Okay? These guys talk about reparations. I told people that there's a reason why you hear them say shit like, oh, if they said that they're not owed, then they don't get nothing. Talking about your boy. They're not talking about these other characters who have said, they're talking about me in particular. Because when I say what I'm owed, I will take come that day. That's the difference. Not afraid to say that. Not afraid to say, if it's owed to me, taking it. Not waiting for permission. Not waiting for somebody to say, oh yeah, you can do that. The talking, the walking, and the action will all be one fluid thing that day. If you've got to ask somebody to make you whole, they're not going to make you whole. Am I tripping? Let me go ahead and repeat that. If you have to ask a man to give back to you, which that is yours, he's never going to give it back. You have to make him give it back. And he might be under the impression that it's his now. So when he tells a story, he's going to say that you took it from him, even though initially he was wrong to have kept it in the first place. But mind all that. This is how these people think. And they've corrupted the brains and souls and hearts of so many black people. It's hard to say what kind of black people you can trust. Which ones can you trust? I tell you all the time, don't trust anybody until you know exactly what they're about. And let me tell everybody right now, since you guys are here, every single one of y'all wrote me a letter. All of those letters. When I say from the bottom of my heart and soul, I really do believe that you guys hurt their ability to try to paint me off as this bad character. And I am so thankful. See, because I spoke it, you guys did something, and there was action taken based on what you did, based on what I said. Do you see how this is a cohesive effort? It's a symbiotic effort. Of course, you must observe someone under pressure. But that's the thing, though, sister, is that all the other so-called people that everyone thinks is going to give them the goods, tell them the so-called truth. See, a lot of them don't have to go through anything. Because guess what they do? Though they don't want to say it, they capitulate and lay down for the same so-called white supremacists that they say that they hate. The white man says, bend over for me, boy. And he's like, okay, I'm not going to tell nobody about this. And I'm not saying literally, but metaphorically, right? These people get fucked all the time. And they want me, you, and the rest of the black people to feel as if them not ever speaking on struggle means that they're somehow higher or better or greater than all the other black people. But you can listen to someone who's hiding. You can take them serious. Hell, you can even follow up on what they ask you to do. There's people who are hiding who tell people to give them money. And guess what? People give them money. I think that's crazy, but, you know, power to them. So that's what it, talk, walk, act, sister. They're all three of them. Bam, just like that. I could use all three of these different little examples in so many different ways, so many different instances that people would realize that they're involved in these three things already on some level. You can't escape it. It's inescapable. And it is crazy. It's madness. But that's the world that we live in, where the crazy people seem to be in control. And there's a lot of them. I want you to think about this right here. If IQ tests were all culturally based, so white people had their own IQ test, black people had their own IQ test, Asian people had their own, all these people, right? And then let's just see how smart people really were. They took the IQ test of other cultures, right? You would then begin to understand that the black man's observation of the other races is so much higher than people think it is, that this is why when black people sound like they're being racist, they're not. They're just talking the most basic observation that they may have taken to, like, yo, I saw you do this. It means this. It can mean nothing else. Is that what they want to hear? Of course not. Is that the truth? Yes, it is. I'll give y'all a prime example real fast. Mr. Cerulean Gray. Once again, I don't think the man is any more troubled than I am or any less troubled than I am to say that. I say that to say this. There is no reason for the man to have made me a moderator on his channel. None. Now, I go there from time to time whenever I can catch a video, live stream, and I'll moderate, as funny as that sounds. The last time I was in there was some guy who sounded as if he may have watched one too many of my videos or just been around people, talking about genetics too long, because he goes into the fact that Africans are not freaking genetically the same as African Americans. Black people we are genetically different from everyone on the planet and this other stuff. And I just wanted to, I couldn't go in and fine tune it because it's not my channel to do that. So what I did, my action taken based on what he said and what he was moving towards, I let bro know. I said, hey, look, bro, you feel me? I said, that's not the time or the place for this. You have to pick your battles, because I don't want you to take away. And I didn't say all this because, but the idea is that when I told bro, like, look, man, just fall back, he tried to say, you guys all think you're Africans. And I had to let him know, I never said I was African. I never capitulated to that. He put that on everybody. I didn't get angry with him. It was just one of those things where I understood my role. If somebody came in here right now talking crazy, I would hope you guys first saw what they were talking about. And then if it was just some complete utter nonsense, then you took action, as opposed to shutting them out, shutting them down before they had a chance to express themselves fully. And maybe there's something that we can inform them about. Whereas with this character, he played his whole hand out right when he was saying that we and the Africans are not the same. Once you say that to me, I already know what you're going to say, or I already know where this is going. So because I know where this is going, I have to stop you dead in your tracks. Because this is a man's channel who he believes in Pan-Africanism, and he knows that I don't. And I tell him openly, I don't agree with Pan-Africanism, nor do I believe in it. I've made videos in the past that totally stomp all over Pan-Africanism. But because I have enough respect in my body to not go to his channel, acting a damn fool, and I have enough sense to actually moderate like a freaking moderator's supposed to, I still have a wrench. Now, is that me patting myself on the back? No, that's just me speaking to the level of you have to know who you're working with and who you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'd still rather work with black people than not work with black people. You get me? And if I feel like there's a chance that maybe one day you may see it my way, because I can already see it your way. And how you see things may be through a dirty telescope. And I'm telling you, bro, just let me clean this in. Let me clean the lenses off and then tell me what you see, dog. But you're telling me the lenses are fine. And I'm like, they're dirty. But because you've never seen through a clean lens before, you wouldn't know what a clean or a dirty one looked like. It all looks the same to you. And because you sleep with the telescope, ship the telescope, bathe with it, right? Where it's within your reach and grasp. But you'll never clean it. You think for sacrilege to you to put water on it or to try to make it look any different, to restore it back to its original status. Sacrilege. So what ends up happening with those types of people is that you have to work with them and deal with them to hope that they can see that I don't hate you the way that you think I do. I just may hate some of the things that you do because they're ultimately going to hold back people that are worth saving. And it's going to help encourage and bolster somebody who's not worth saving. Once again, how do I value the life of a man who was an evildoer, who changed his ways, over the life of a man who's been righteous forever? Just because the evildoer became he changed his ways. How do I value him over the man who's always been righteous? That's stupid. But in the same token, the evildoer who was righteous is more valuable than the righteous man who is now an evildoer. Right. We are all one hand washing the other. Every single one of us. We are doing our best to refine and better each other. We can only do this through talking, walking, and acting. It can only take place like this. It's the only way it will happen. They don't believe in what I say because it's easy to not believe me. You know why it's easy to not believe Demetrius Antoine Jones? Because he's not a millionaire, not 100,000 there, not even 1,000 there. Right. Right. So, how do you believe him when his resource is minimal, minuscule, regardless of the struggles that he faces and the turbulence in his life? Regardless of that, how do you make yourself an ally to a cause and not just an enemy to the adversary at all times? Because I hate those that hate me anyway, and I love those that love me. But if somebody that hates me is somebody that I would rather love, I would rather do what it takes to reach out to them. For those that would just rather hate me, even though I've tried to love them, I have no need to try to further love them because they're only going to repay my kindness with evil. Right. We as a black people must not forget what it is that we are after. I am after salvation. I hope you are after salvation. I'm not looking for a better day in this country. You guys know how long I've been saying that freaking Vlad Putin line? For forever. For forever. And I'm like, yeah, whenever Vlad gets here, right on, and picks us up. I say that jokingly, but I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that for years. What, I'm a Russian bot now? Oh, fucking okay. You see what I'm saying? Nonsense. We have to know where we stand, people. We have to know what it is that we're about. I want salvation. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm looking for. That's what my heart and my soul desires more than anything in this planet, more than anything. So when people can't even understand that what you're after may be less tangible to them, but truly far more beneficial than what they are after, you have to not use them, but you must allow for them to be whatever assistance they can be. So that way you can further your plight and you can further your mission. The struggle is real. Let me repeat myself. The struggle is real. And everybody struggles. There is not one person who does not struggle. There is not one person who does not struggle. Just because they're a millionaire, hell, even a billionaire, doesn't mean that they don't struggle. Paul Allen died of some kind of cancer or some shit like that. Billionaire. But obviously, his life was far more comfortable than a regular schmuck getting the same kind of disease. Right? You see what I'm saying? Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe his doctors restricted him from doing things that may have brought joy into his life, that may have brought longevity to his life. We can't really ever know. But that's the point. I've only ever encouraged everyone here to do the best that they can at being the best person that they can. That's it. That means having enough financial dividend in this land and this time to be able to procure at the most basic level some form of housing to make sure that you can feed yourself and clothe yourself, and to have enough for some of your worldly desires, so that way you don't go crazy, because it's easy to go crazy. This week is crazy. This week has been a crazy week. When I seen the little article on my computer talking about how China real estate developers were panicking because the trade war carries on, and they won't be able to fill up these skyscrapers. I said, "Yep." I said, "Shit's getting real." I don't know how much longer the whole world is going to be able to keep up the charade. Where did the money go? There is no plan, sister. How can you plan with no money? How can you plan with no money? They're trying to keep the hub cities afloat right now. We knew about ghost cities when they were just building cities and there was nobody in the cities. You know what I mean? They were just building buildings. You know, we knew about that stuff, but these are buildings that were just inhabited, that people don't inhabit any longer because their businesses in the short period of time of the trade war have tanked. That's crazy. They're hoping and praying and wishing that all the businesses that have pretty much been, they built some of these cities years ago. You know what I mean? The idea was that China's economy was going to take off, and people were going to just start moving into China. when I was in high school, uh, this is 10 years ago when I was about to graduate, maybe even 11 years ago when I was a junior in high school. One of my high school teachers, Mr. Goebel, he used to laugh about it and joke about it all the time about how, pretty soon everybody was going to be learning Chinese. But really though, I do believe the Chinese thought that Americans are going to fold under some of the pressure and start to move to China, and then other groups of people would have moved to China. That's my opinion. Can't prove any of that because it never happened. And the reason why it never happened is because the people who went and got those college degrees that they got a whole bunch of useless degrees that weren't transferable in the real world. So the Chinese, even though these people are, I guess, college graduates, they have no need for people who can't bring industry to their country. The idea is pretty much, how many technicians do you really need? You see what I'm saying? If you have an excellent idea, do you need a bunch of technicians if your idea doesn't take a lot of technicality, or do you just need the right people to maintain the idea? Case in point, any type of business that has super servers, they spend more money on the maintenance of the servers than anything else. And and when I say a lot of people don't know that about most businesses, most banks, that's where a large majority of the money goes, is to maintaining the servers that help the system operate smoothly. So the investment that China made into those cities was pretty much hoping that there was going to be qualified individuals to come and to fill China up with their creative juices, so to speak. Never happened. It never came to fruition. The Chinese still come to America because the Chinese are still telling their children, you should come to America. You should go live in America and send all the money you can back to China. Because when you have, let's say, 30,000 Chinese people making good American money, sending some of their money home, it's just 30,000 people, but that's 30,000 people siphoning money out of your economy. So when you apply that to not just the Chinese, but the Vietnamese, the Koreans, right on, the Cambodians, the Thais, the Lao, who else? The Indians, being the Far East, Punjab or Sheikh. I mean, all those races of people, all of them. When you see what I'm saying, but just to really stay on the ghost cities just for another half second, they were really hoping that Americans are going to move over there. This was years ago. We're talking. They were hoping that there was going to be an influx of college graduates. So this would have been people who were my age. They were hoping, and a little bit older and a little bit younger, but they were hoping that people within a 10-year gap. So I'd say people from who are as young as 24, as old as 35. They were hoping that a lot of them were going to go and settle down and make their roots in China, learn the language, embrace the culture, blah 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 blah, and pretty much pull in America on the Americans. That's not what happened though. Massive, but I mean, you have people who think it's going to be where they put folks whenever the fallouts happen, but I'm like, there's no contingency for a catastrophe. You understand what I'm talking about? And yes, the cities were such an epic, massive fail, but that has to, I don't know, for me, I look at it like that must have been what was supposed to happen. You get what I'm saying? Like, the cities weren't supposed to be successful, because if they were, they would be successful, and we would have something to look at it for and to gauge it. But because that's not the case, I say to myself, okay, well, they were never meant to actually be. And it speaks to the level of volume of how much money maybe your average Chinese person really is not making. Because those cities should have been made and built and had the spacing for businesses that are already thriving and are already in full effect. They should have invested money into that same sort of infrastructure. So if there's a business that makes plastic molds or whatever, you would build the facility for that. You know what I'm saying? So that way the people can make the transition to that city. They didn't do anything like that, then I don't see how they thought that the cities were going to be anything in the first place, because you have to have industry. Your city has to have the ability to produce industry, to produce jobs for people. When people aren't working, or at the very least, if the city doesn't have jobs, it has to have a way where people can support themselves. You know, exactly. You have to have a way to lure the businesses. You know, so, and this is, once again, this is, we could talk about talk, walk, and act. There was a lot of talk about it, more walking, and even more action taken when they built these cities. But look how it's played out for them. I mean, what number of Americans would leave America right now to go to China? Come on. But that's how it is, though. The people would automatically come, sister. Automatically. If there's if there's if there's a way for a person to see that I can do something, once again, I meet people all the time who are not from America who tell me, in my country, you don't have to work. Right, because all they have to do is farm on the land and produce enough food to eat. Right, and literally just live. A lot of people most Americans couldn't even imagine that. You know, they couldn't even imagine just living their life. You know, like, then they would feel differently about all this technology stuff. You know, oh man, see, you've been here for so long that's why it sounds like a good thing. You know, we've been here for too long. You know, this is the most important thing for us to do. You know, is to speak these things, so that way there is the ability to have tangible movement that leads to action. I've been saying for as long as I don't know how long. I don't believe in voting. I think it's bullshit. You know, I personally think voting's bullshit. You know how you guys really retain your power as a person? By not showing somebody how you feel sometimes. And when you vote, you show people how you feel. Right. Black people don't understand that. They really don't. They, trust me, if they understood that doesn't matter how you vote, you still showed me how you felt. Doesn't matter. See, and here's what's worse. What if there was no voter fraud? They have the ability to look at the numbers literally based on what the numbers are. So they can say this many black women, this many black men voted for these types of candidates. They would literally know how black people thought just based on the actual process of voting if they didn't cheat. Wow. You see what I'm saying? This is why not voting in their systems is so important. It would tell them everything to the most minute level as to how we felt as a people, at least in the general aspects. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised, sister, at any level if that was taking place. You know, if it has, still does, you know, or if there's an implementation for it. But black people wouldn't listen to that. They're not trying to hear that, you know, because they want their lives to change. They want it's like a JG Whitworth commercial out here, you know. It's my money and I want it now, you know. And I've said that in defense of things that I may have felt, you know, righteous about, but there are certain things that I'm willing to wait for to happen because I understand how they're really going to work. Black people have a short memory, Steve. But I think I think what most people really still overlook is the flood that took place in Louisiana all those years ago. When I say that transition, blacks from voting for the Republican Party to voting for the so-called Democrats, that was it. That was it. If you minus that one moment in history of Herbert Hoover, major fuck up, black people still vote. Black people would still, by and large, vote Republican. Most of the black people who vote Democrat don't hate gay people, don't hate lesbians, don't think that single motherism is ass backwards. Right on. Most of them who vote Democrat are ass backwards people, and that's just the fact. That's just the facts. You know. When I was in high school, they used to always call me a fascist and shit like that because, you know, I've always been way more authoritarian than not. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in letting people do what the fuck they want to do. Okay, I don't believe in a lot of stuff. Really, I don't. Really, there's a lot of things I don't believe in that people do. I accept it because it's the environment that we live in. See what I'm saying? The Most High's laws are not a democracy. He didn't ask Moses how he felt when he was telling Moses the mandates. You know what I'm saying? The Messiah, whoever gave Moses the rules, did not ask us how he felt about any one of those rules. You know? Yeah, for certain parts, they said, you know, but this was even before I was super duper tough into the Bible. This is years ago. I've always been like that, you know. Just there are rules, man. There are rules. There are regulations. There is order. There is law. There is justice. Supposed to be. Let me say that. Let me speak that out my mouth first. Supposed to be those things. So when they don't take place like that, when they don't come to fruition like that, right? It makes one want to see those things. I understand the desire that many black people have. I understand. I totally get it. What I don't agree with is the way that they go about trying to get things done. If I want to save a gay person from being gay, I have to first let them know that you know you're wrong. Once I get the chance to let them know that they're wrong, then I get to break down to them how they're part of it. We all live in a special time, in a special generation. When I say gay people, I'm talking about gay black dudes. And I'm like, we live in a special time, in a special generation, dog, where you would either be killed or excommunicated, or you wouldn't live in a normal village. You would live somewhere fucked up and somewhere bad. You know, that like people are like, one day God's gonna kill all of you type place. You see what I'm saying? when you reach out to people like that, just like it's no reaching out to the homosexual black person, man or woman, is no different than reaching out to a fornicator or a whore. The concepts are actually very similar. It's just all a matter of understanding that people are going to be offended to some degree and some level because you're objecting against what it is that they believe in. You see what I'm saying? You're going against what they feel is right. Most of them say stupid ass things like, I've never seen God, so how do I know he's real? Dog, there's a bunch of things you've never seen. You've never seen argon, you've never seen nitrogen, but they tell you that that shit's in the atmosphere and you believe that? Right. Right. But people will question the actual tangibility of one who is the ultimate frequency of everything. I can't understand it. I mean, there's no reason for me to try to, but I literally can't. I don't get it. So when you reach out to people that you're trying to save and you're trying to throw them a lifeline, you have to allow them to see that it's not too late for them. You see what I'm saying? It's not over yet. You know, it's only over when you're actually dead and done. That's when it's done and over with. But while you have life in your bodies, you know what I mean? You should always attempt to try to tell somebody that doing the right thing may be more difficult to do, but it's the better thing to do. Well, I mean, it's not to give them a grace, it's to let them know that no matter how evil you think you are, there's obviously somebody way worse than you, number one. You know what I mean? Number two, this is a different generation of people. It's not like any other time on earth, bro. The last 10 years were different than the 10 years before that. You see what I'm saying? So from the year 2000 to 2019, everything has changed. You know, and things continue to change. What's up, bro? All I'm saying is this, y'all, is that there's a way that you reach out to the so-called people. You know what I'm saying? Well, bro, you could never make somebody believe what's right. But all you have to do is take them to verses where it's like a man that lays with the man as with the woman is an abomination, and both shall be stoned to death. Right on? Both shall be put to death. Both shall die the death. However it's worded. Can you dig it? No matter what they try to say, that just told you a dude laying with the dude is out of here. So once again, I don't even worry about that type of stuff. That's just like with chicks and dudes who want to fuck everybody. You know what I'm saying? I can show them parts in scripture where it says in particular for certain instances they should die. I don't give a damn what they say about, oh, the Most High God said, you know, be fruitful and multiply. If you're having sex and not having no baby, no babies, you're a fornicator. If you're a man, and if you're a woman, you're a whore. And you can still be a whore and have a bunch of babies because you could be a whore. You could be a whore with a bunch of children from a bunch of different men. That's right. The whole purpose of sex is to make babies. That's it. People are like, it's for pleasure. It's for pleasure. I'm like, look, just because it feels enjoyable doesn't mean that that's the purpose of this. You eat food so that way your body has energy. You pray that it tastes good. No? Okay then. Case closed, you know? But that's the type of, these are the types of people that we're dealing with. They're so backwards, you know, they're operating on a frequency so crazy, so abnormal, that they truly do believe that the things that they say and do, right, which are wicked, are okay. I'm not trying to make what I'm doing all right. I'm not trying to make it okay. Man, it's funny that you say gifts of the Most High abused. I got a spiritual gumbo I'm getting ready for y'all, and it's about the it's gonna be coming from the book of Ezekiel, and I'm gonna speak on Jerusalem, and you know, I know a lot of people will try to tell you that these are the spiritual daughters of Babylon and this, that, and the other, but I can show you that's not the case. You're funny. They are ass backwards, sister. You're funny. But they really are. They are. But I mean, it's no different. I mean, but people think that single mothers are normal. You see what I'm saying? They think that it's honorable. The Most High God would not say there is a special place in his heart for the widow and the fatherless child if being a widow and a fatherless child was the shit. If that was like the best thing happening, like people try to promote now, that wouldn't be written down in the scripture like that. It wouldn't be worded like that. But the fact that people can believe the most egregious nonsense should tell us all where the world is at. You know, we can't win like that. We won't. I know we won't. I know what we will do, though. If we don't make right, if we don't make good on our claims, we're going to end up taking so many more L's as a people. When I say good and right, that means knowing that you have to talk, walk, and act, damn it. Like the little gay boy yesterday when I was at McDonald's. Steve heard the conversation because we were talking about, you know, hair and oil and stuff like that. And Cuddy was like, you know, man, he said just like this, I'm trying to get my hair like yours. And I was like, olive oil, dog. He's like, well, I'm putting shea butter in it. I'm like, well, you can keep doing that, but you got to throw some olive oil in your shit, you know? And we were talking, and I walk outside and I shake his hand and I shake it nice and firm so that way he understands, you feel me? Like, you're a man at the end of all this. You know what I'm saying? And I was telling bro, you feel me? You know, oh, I'm sure fish oil is good. I'm sure fish oil is excellent for your hair. But if I had to be realistic, which one do I think is easier to manifest? Fish oil or olive oil? Just based on the two, you know, is it easier to catch a fish or easier to plant olives, my nigga? So when I say that, I'm going based on the biblical stuff that I do understand. You feel me? You know, because in the Bible, I don't think they were using vegetable oil to put in their hair. You know what I'm saying? Oh, nigga, you didn't know castor oil was fish oil? Oh, yeah, that's fish oil, dog. But that's no big deal. That's no big deal. Castor oil is good for you. That's what they used to give people back in the day. You know what I mean? When they got sick. In the cartoons, the castor oil used to always make people get a green face. You know what I mean? You know, whether it was a little kid or a grown man, he used to always make their shit turn green. Like it was nasty to the motherfucker. But anyway, fish oils are always going to be good for you. I can't really think of a fish oil outside of a dirty, nasty fish that that, you know what I'm saying, that wouldn't be good for you. I mean, hell, they put shellfish in glucosamine chondroitin, you know, which is why, I mean, obviously I stopped taking that stuff years ago, but just in case you guys didn't know, chondroitin has shellfish in it. And I'm talking about castor. I'm talking about the old school castor oil, not cod liver oil. Cause my dad and them used to take castor oil when they were kids. But let me see what Steven just said real quick. Give me one moment, y'all. Because he wrote two long lines. Dark skin Migo or did they watch it something else? How do you get hair like that? Bro. Yeah, but I'm black too. And I'm not because your hair stand up on it, but I don't really see that now. I don't know if like now. Man, you're too much, Steve. Here you go. But no, bro, that's the truth. That's the truth. But you have to understand. There's a level of all this stuff that is truly to be appreciated. You know, and I hate to get away from like the main subjects, but I do like talking with everybody because that's always, I find that more entertaining. You know, I find that more enjoyable. But to keep it on the level of understanding what we're supposed to do as a people, you know, and just to go back to the dude. See, you see how we got so far away from old boy? Old boy, when I was telling him in the end, I say, look, man, you know, you come from a special people. Because he was trying to say, and I'll use what you're saying right now, Steve, as a point. He was trying to say, you know, black people are indigenous to the land. They're aboriginals. I said, look, bro, I said some black people are, but some black people aren't. And I said, by looking at you, you know, unless you come from deep-rooted blood of aboriginals, looking at you, you look like a descendant of black slaves that were brought here. And I said, saying that, you come from a special people. You know, I don't know why, man. You guys are too much, man. Don't be down there getting into no fights, man, because a nigga is feeling some type of way about his hair, dog. That's the last thing you need. But anyhow, the dude, man, I could see that he was really felt some type of way about being told that he was a special person, you know, because I don't know what is so funny, y'all. You guys are crazy, man. All you guys are crazy. Like I don't even know what is going on right now. I'm trying to catch up with y'all. What is so funny right now? Damn it. I hate when I hate when I miss some funny shit or I don't see how it all came together. Man, I'm not liking it. I'm feeling left out of my own joke. Man. I'm crazy. You guys already know that. You know, I don't know why, but like my deliverance, I try to work on it. I really have. If you guys haven't noticed, I've actually tried to work on how I deliver things. It'll never change. It's always is going to sound crazy, and I understand that. And I'm like, damn it. You know what I mean? Like, not crazy is a bad thing, but just like, you know, I know I sound excited sometimes or whatever. So I get it, but I'm like, damn. You know, I was trying to be half-ass serious just then. You know, damn. Back to bro and black people being special, and back to us being a special generation of people. You know, we are a unique brand of human beings on this earth, and if we do not talk, walk, and act like this, we will be treated as we are not a special, unique group of people. It should be noted that it's worth the effort of doing whatever it takes to be a good person, especially when it brings you no harm and it doesn't diminish you. Brought me no harm to stand up for that dude. Didn't diminish me. Short term, it did a little bit, but in the long term, in the scope of the efforts of everything, this is going to help, once again, change things in Seattle. Now I'm changing it through the way where you would hope you would be able to change it, which is not getting killed and being able to fight your own fight. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't expect white people to fight the black man's fight. So why am I going to ask them for restitution? They're not going to give it to you. That's not their idea. Right. And all these dudes are now pissed off because every group in the world is like, we all want restitution. This shit is crazy. You know? And they're mad. You know, and I've been trying to tell these dudes for a minute, you know, they're not going to give you what you think you deserve, dog. They're not going to give you what you think you rate. They're not going to give you anything. You know, the motherfuckers think that I'm tripping. Everybody get mad at me for at least standing on, hey, these are a particular group of people, genetically, once again, you can't disobey and go against what genes and genetics are. It's impossible. It's impossible. Do I believe that there's a you're so funny. Suing the IRS is a tough one, dog. What you're gonna have to do is probably call some people who work in the administrative office of the IRS and file a formal complaint against whoever the agent was that you spoke with. That's what you're gonna want to do. You know. And if it's about your W-2s with the one little spot, what you should have done was reported the place to the IRS for not giving you your W-2s yet. And that's all you should have done. Don't worry. That's just me giving you some quick game about it. You know, and that's the truth. Okay, so if they didn't transfer you, have you gone online and tried to do it and file your grievance with the IRS online? Have you tried that? And if you don't, and if you can't do it online, you just need to go in person, bro. You need to find the actual physical building. No. This is about talking, walking, acting, dog. This has everything to do with the title. You need to find the actual physical building that you can find the IRS in. There's a building somewhere around you. Trust me, believe that. And you need to go there and you need to go see them. I've had to do this before. So you need to go and speak with somebody in person, bro. That's how you do that. I know it sounds like a fucking hassle, but that's the best. That's the best way to do it. Steve, is to do that. Go see him in person. Now I can move on because I feel better about giving you more options in one than just calling them. Just because we're supposed to be special people, just because we're supposed to be unique and peculiar and all that, set apart, so-called. Oh no, yeah, dude, yeah, bro, yeah. Don't get in trouble with the IRS, dog. Yeah, man, they're too much. They're like gangsters. You understand? They're their own kind of gangsters. That's the only way I can politely put it. You know, they have their own agents who come and do raids and all kinds of shit, man. Anyway, this shit is crazy. But as different as we are supposed to be from everyone else, when you don't act different from anyone else and you try to do what they're doing and you attempt to be equal to them, you're no different than them. So if you're trying to be equal to the devil, you are the devil. Let me repeat myself. If you are attempting to equalize your stance and your status with the devil, you are the devil. No, a lot of people don't want to hear no shit like that. That's the truth. You can't tell me that. Oh, I'm their equal. If you're their equal, you don't have to tell that motherfucker that. The only time you voice some shit like, yo, bro, you're not better than me, is when you can clearly tell that they think they're better than you. And normally in those moments, I just let them know that they're not even humans. Like, bro, you're not even human. You don't even have a fucking soul, motherfucker. Can you dig it? Your funny colored hair, your funny colored eyes, and your funny colored skin. I'll go all in on that monkey ass. I don't give a fuck. When I say 0% to lose, nothing to lose in those moments. Not afraid. Fuck it. Talk, walk, act. Literally. But the IRS is just a. To me, they're who they are. You know. There's a whole bunch of legal gangsters that the government employs to shut people down. You know what I mean? At a whim. You know. The tax and licensing department for your city, those guys are gangsters. You know what I mean? They're gangsters. The people who give the business licenses, they're gangsters. Because they control the turkey. Oh, I'm glad you made it through that one. There are people right now still sitting down behind bars because of the IRS. The IRS will get you hit with a 40-year prison sentence, fucking with them. And will tell you it's your fault. Like I said, I'm glad you made it. Will tell you it's your fault. I don't believe that it's my fault that you started looking into what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? Nothing. It can't be my fault. Unless you're like Frank Lucas and you have a half breed or freaking quarter breed wife or something like that, you know, foreigner wife who wants to go out and buy animal coats and shit. How can the IRS come after you, dog? If you file taxes every year that you've been able to file taxes, you've got nothing to worry about, man. Where you were working, yeah, see, yeah, look, just like these motherfuckers, I use the IRS. I won't even lie to you guys. My experience with the IRS is totally different. Oh, of course you had to hire an attorney. Of course, at that rate, yeah, shit. Trying to fight the IRS by yourself, I mean, it just depends on, you know what I'm saying, like the circumstances. But yeah, no. But I mean, it's easy, you know, if you keep your pay stubs and shit like that. But if you've been self-employed for forever, then you know, shit, yeah, you're gonna need an attorney because when you've been self-employed, it's easy for them to say anything that they want. Oh no, shit. Hey, as far as they're concerned, you owe us. As far as they're concerned, you owe us. That's it. They say fuck the rest. That's how the IRS is getting down. I already know. I've known people who've owned businesses, gotten audited, and then their businesses shut down right after that. You know, because they misfiled. They misfiled maybe 1 or 2 years and owed like a couple $1,000. Didn't owe nowhere close to what they tried to say that, you know what I'm saying, that they wanted from you. Maybe owe just a couple grand that they couldn't manifest right then and there. Shut their shit down immediately. I've seen it happen. So uh uh I'm more happy that you made it, you know what I mean? But I'm not surprised that they came after you, you know. Oh yeah, man, they hate to see anybody make it, dog, on their own. You know what I'm saying? Look, if you go out right now and you get any kind of job by yourself, which is why I want the hot dog stand, because first off, you can't tell me how much money I made unless you want to come out here with a goddamn clicker and count hot dog to hot dog in this bitch. You can't tell me how much money I made. You can't tell me what I didn't make. You can't tell me how many hot dogs I did or didn't give away. Fuck that. But yeah, I trust me. Look, I told y'all about this shit with the unemployment where I was working at the real estate place, and years ago, I was working just 10 hours a week, and the law at the time was if you were working less than 12 hours, you didn't have to report those earnings. I didn't do anything illegal. This dude that I was working with, the little actual property manager guy, Bob Deinhardt, he tried to say that they were paying me cash money every week. So then the damn unemployment came after me for years. They didn't stop sending me letters till like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember I called the IRS, right? Because what happened was I called the unemployment people, right? I set up a hearing with the unemployment people. I literally missed the deadline by like 3 weeks or something like that. And they wouldn't backdate my claim. So, because they wouldn't backdate it, I remember talking to the lady, and the lady asked me, she said, well, what took you so long to file? You know, and the call, I said, I just didn't know what to do. I was like 22, y'all. This is 6 years ago, you know. And I just told her the truth. I was like, I just didn't know what to do. So, you know, I just waited until I was in a better position to actually, you know, try to attack the situation, you know. And, you know, I told her, I was like, I finally worked up my nerve to be able to do all this stuff, you know, because a lot of it is about nerve and confidence. You know, when you don't know what to do. Uh, and I remember having to go to the IRS. I showed the people the tax paper that I got. I showed them the stuff that the damn unemployment people had sent to me or whatever, right? And and the guy was like, "Yeah, something's not right here." You know, I remember, you know, cool, super cool Asian dude, super cool Asian dude. He was like, "Yeah, this isn't right." He's like, "I'll tell you what." He's like, "I can't do anything right now today, but we'll be in contact, you know, with these people." And I remember, like, I was like, "Okay." And for a little while, I didn't get any mail. You know what I mean? From you know what I'm saying, from like the unemployment people or whatever. You know, uh, and then the last time I think I really actually heard anything about it. Oh my goodness, it's 2019. So yeah, it's been at least 2 years actually since I got a piece of mail over it. And because they were trying to say that I owed thousands of dollars. That was my. It was literally my money to have. And I was like, I just remember trying to tell him, I was like, why would I tell you guys because I wasn't getting paid physical money. I was just being given a unit. You know what I'm saying? I just lived in an apartment, and they said the apartment only cost them $700 a month. Right on. So you're talking about $700 a month that you don't physically give me cash to do anything. You feel what I'm talking about? So me being on unemployment was no big deal. And I was a reservist trying to find a job to get off of unemployment. Anyway, the whole situation was so ass backwards once again that I know once the IRS and the state actually sat down, they were able to go and be like, okay, this dude's not lying. You know what I mean? We have to go to Phillips Real Estate Agency, ask them, why didn't you guys file this tax form? You caused a big misunderstanding. You know, they probably gave him a slap on the wrist, but it fucked my shit up for years, you know. And that stuff happens. Had my identity stolen when I was 18. I still had a bank account after that for a few years, but I haven't had a bank account in like 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think I'll ever get one again. You know, I don't trust that whole process. I'll just say it like that. Man, you can't even worry about that kind of stuff, bro. All I all I tell people is this right here is that if they start taking money out your checks, let them take the money. Fight what you can fight, and just know that these same people have something. So what's coming to them is worse than somebody garnishing your wages. You feel me? They'll wish it was just their wages were being garnished. Come the day of I was just doing my job. But talk, walk, act. Can't stress that enough. I love that. Once again, I don't really get the kind of play that I think I rate sometimes, but it's true that if you look at what I'm saying right here about these three things, when they're combined, they're normally used to achieve goals. You have to do all three of them to achieve something. That's normal. Normally how it goes. Not all the time, but that's normally how it breaks down. You know, uh, I've fought in my life. I don't know how many different legal cases now. How many different charges? You know, I just add all this nonsense to the list. You know what I mean? One, two, three, four, five different charges this time. Granted, these are only, 2 different instances, but still 5 different charges combined. Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, I've been charged with so many different little stupid little things, stuff that other people would think is a big deal. I I don't know how else to take it. I'm pretty. I get angry about having to go to court and wasting my time because it really is a waste of time for the most part. But but I'm glad because this kept me sharp, and I know trying to do this thing, you know, dealing with this. There's a couple things that I have to do. I'm going to Geneva. I don't give a fuck. I'm going. You know, and this year is like one of those things where I'm like, this is just these obstacles are appropriate for me to have to wait for things to come right and come proper. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I know it's okay. The Most High God said it's okay. So it is what it is. I don't worry about it. Can't stress it enough once again. If somebody doesn't want to give you what you're owed, they don't owe you shit. Right on. And come the day where you can take what's owed, you'll take everything that you can get plus more. Because when they should have, could have, and had the chance to right the situation and rectify a wrong, they chose not to. And they chose to spite you instead. So feel nothing for them. Feel no thing for them. I can't stand when people pity the wicked. It makes me want to break their necks. How could you feel bad for a wicked mother? I never feel bad for wicked people, ever. I might be like, damn, that's a shitty situation. But I'm like, ultimately, they deserve that. Whenever somebody gets somebody hurt that they love, I feel bad for the person that got hurt. Sometimes I don't even feel nothing. My love is wax cold. I'm so cold for people. If I don't care about somebody, I do not care about them. It's that simple. If I care about somebody, I care about them. It's that simple. I don't worry about winning over the hearts and minds because I understand what is objectively real and what is, irrefutable. People want to try to tell me that I'm wrong to say that, that the Aboriginal Indians had at least 3 different looks. These guys with these tight, beady hair, bald faces, guys with loose, bushy looking hair, loose curls, for the most part, facial hair, some cases, no facial hair, and these other people with straight hair. And for the most part, many of them with no facial hair. Very, very few of them with facial hair. The idea is that there was probably subgroups of these people who had intermingled and bred with one another to create different hybrid groups of these people. Once again, this is America. These are just the indigenous people here. So when you bring over this so-called strange Negro, one must accept and understand that these are not the same people. One must accept and understand that when somebody speaks on that and says what they say to that, right? They're saying it because they don't want people to believe what's wrong is right and what's right is wrong. Yeah, man. Look, bro, why would the Most High God say, I'm going to take my people far from their borders, and then, oh, no, you've been there the whole time, really? The shit is crazy. How could these people over here be chosen people? These niggas were living in teepees, dog. The Israelites lived in buildings that they built on mountains in some case. and you're telling me that these niggas who are living in teepees with all this wood around them are Israelites? Man, sit the fuck down. You know what I mean? It's just retarded. It's retarded. It doesn't even make sense. They get sad about it, bro. They hate it, you know. They hate it, you know. But I love it. I love that they hate it. I do not care. Once again, because I already know where they're coming from, so I have the leeway, the ability to not care. If you don't know what somebody's talking about and you don't care and you fall victim to them, I don't care about you falling victim to them because you didn't care enough to know what it is that they were trying to put forth. Right. Right. Wearing feathers. You guys are too much. But the fact that these guys are running around naked, dog, with no clothes on. Where your clothes at, guys? Where your clothes? Huh? Huh? People want to be like, oh, the Aboriginals who were here had temples and had. I think they had basic teepee hut cities. I believe that. I believe that. I believe they had little teepee hut cities. I believe that. And I think that's why they were easier to burn down. Hella easy to burn down. Because it was all a whole bunch of loose ass brush. Do you know how long it took to destroy Judea? They couldn't even destroy all this shit. They just fucked up what they could, and then it was like, leave the rest of it here. We'll come back and get to it later. Everything they built here was clearly made out of wood, all the way. No stone. No stone. Couldn't have been stone. Wonder how we know that? Because there are no buildings that they left to live in. And the stone shit that they have, the niggas built when they brought them over here. You're funny. You should, man, look. I don't know why you would do that. Because, you know, I always say there's no way of knowing. I could easily be the stranger. You know, I could easily be I don't know. I could be any one of those guys. I could be any one of these groups of people out the Bible. Somebody who just has a sensitive heart to the Most High. You guys are funny. You guys are. I love you guys to death. I really do. You guys talk about what an Israelite looks like, and I'm just like, here, this guy. You guys are too much. I'm just some knucklehead. Even if I thought I was an Israelite, I can't prove it. There's no objective, tangible proof. You guys are too funny. You guys are hilarious. You know, I just try to be my regular self. And I think if more of these brothers were, you know what I mean? I think if more of these brothers were more of their regular selves, they would all look like the people that they truly are. That's once again, me and Andre, because I don't get to talk to Stephen as much these days, but me and Andre, you know, and he said it to me first, but we talk about it a lot, you know, where, you know, he was like one day, because I was saying some shit like, you know, people think they're Nubians and this, that, and the other. But he was like, bro, some of these people are being who they really are. And it's like, to a level, that's very true. And then there's a level of objectivity we have to practice, just knowing that to be polite, some people are just clout chasers, right? So the clout chasing dudes are like, I'm an Egyptian, I'm a Nubian, I'm a Aboriginal. They're everything. You know what I mean? The clout chaser, you can't even take them serious, you know. But what I know Andre was saying was the mannerisms that the people are actually practicing. They're being who they are ultimately, you know. So if this person is a tear, right? And I don't give a fuck. He got thick woolly hair, beard, all that stuff. He gets oppressed, but he's a piece of garbage. Piece of garbage. And he constantly finds ways to undermine his people. He's worse than any dude from Middle Earth, dog, ever will be. This nigga is the devil. The devil. The devil. And he can't be nothing other than the devil, because you're telling me you look like me, so-called think like me and act like me, but you're trying to fuck my soul off? Oh no, bro. I can't get down like that. But that's the business that some of these dudes have been on for so long, because some of these niggas are actually Moors and Amorites. Some of these niggas are really Canaanites that you're dealing with every day. They're not Israelites, right on? And because the children of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, because those three men are triplets, certain bloodlines of people that have been kept more pure than not still look like themselves. So you wouldn't know a Canaanite from an Israelite, from an Egyptian, right on, from a Philistine, from a real Greek or Roman, if all of those people are in their original settings and in their original bodies. You wouldn't know. It would be impossible to tell. So when Andre said, like, yeah, people are being themselves, I'm like, yeah, that's hella true. And this, once again, this goes with the talk, walk, and act. You need to look at these motherfuckers and know what you're dealing with. Excuse my language, but that's the truth. Because we're dealing with people who will tell you we are all the same. But I read to y'all last week. I think y'all appreciated it, but nobody else watching it really appreciated it. That right there, one of the best works I've ever done, because nobody's ever broken down the Willie Lynch letter like that, for real. But it supports everything I've been saying for forever, which is the stuff about the hair. Once again, something that me and my man's Andre talked about, you know. But this goes back to hidden ancestry. And that video was made 2.5 years ago. I made that video forever ago. I made a long time ago. Hidden ancestry is a classic, is a ruby, is a sapphire, you know what I'm saying? Is a jade or emerald. That is a real rare stone right there, because it really points out, you know, how, number one, how did people who were black turn white? And then number two, did y'all notice that these black people had straight hair? And then it's like, damn, when you really start to think about all these different little things, you know, it's really unfortunate, you know, that I know that people don't think I'm intelligent. And I'm not saying y'all, once again, when I say that stuff, I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about, you know, the knuckleheads who just come in and listen for 10 seconds and then shut the video off. It's like they don't give me the chance to even get going. You know, they won't even do me the decency, do me the solid of skipping around to the video just to see if I pick up and say something that they might want to hear. They won't even do that. So because people are so objective against listening to what I have to say, a lot of the things that I do say that make a whole bunch of sense, they're so objective, they're trying to find ways that I'm wrong. When they can't find the way that I'm wrong or that I'm lying, all out the front of my teeth, the only other option for them is to say, okay, well, fuck it. I won't deal with it. I refuse to deal with it. Okay, well, you refuse to deal with me, but you haven't taken away anything that I'm saying. And if you go back and use what I'm saying and try to use it against me or to support something that I know is a fallacy, once again, the devil. Who else could it be? You have to be the devil to do something like that. You can't be nothing but the devil. If somebody tells you that my wife is sick, right, and she's dying, and then you take this dude to a strip club or somewhere where there's a bunch of loose women around, and he says like, yeah, man, it's been like years since I've had any kind of sexual, activity. And I love my wife, but man, I'm dying type stuff. Then this guy takes this dude somewhere where there's a bunch of loose women running around, and then this guy steps out on his wife. That dude who brought him there is the devil. There's no question to it. It's the same thing for when a chick does that with her female friends. This chick is single, known for being a whore. Dude let his wife hang out with this chick, his girlfriend hang out with this chick for God knows what reason. She take him somewhere where, once again, there's a bunch of single dudes who have no scruples, unscrupulous little bastards, uncouth little bastards around, right? Lay up with the dude's chick. Once again, that chick who brought her there, put her in that, and people can be like, oh, well, they made that choice and that decision. They wouldn't have been versed with that choice or decision if they weren't there. They weren't brought there in the beginning to begin with to be tempted like that. And just to touch on last week real quick, nobody's going to be able to tell me that what was read in the Willie Lynch letters didn't support every little piece of the stuff that I've been saying for a hot dog minute. Do you know how long a person would have to live on a plantation to make the observations Willie Lynch made? And once again, do you know that all the type of bad shit that would have to have happened? He lived on an island. He didn't live in the big ass United States. He lived on an island. So he understood, the slaves can't be too close to the house. You impregnate as many of them as you can. That's what he's saying, right? But really, that's not true. Want to know how you know that's not true? Where are they at? Right. No, you impregnate the ones that you want to impregnate. And normally the ones with fine hair. Sure, they got a couple of chicks with coarse hair pregnant. But why do you think when you guys read those little slave articles that I was posting before, the runaway slaves who could pass as white, why do you think I was trying to make that shit like the obvious connection? Why do you think I showed the pictures of the straight hair Indians? Now get what I'm getting at. There's people who have thick curly hair that have babies with white people that can pass for white. So you don't think that one of those dark-skinned straight hair people that have a straight hair baby with this white person can't have a baby with them that passes for white? Come on now, think about this shit. It's deep. See, once again, don't nobody want to hear the whole basic funky truth, because if they really start to break it all down and step back and look at it, they'll realize I'm not wrong at all. The Willie Lynch letters only supported things that I've been contending for a long time. That's it. And supported it so much so that a person would be like, well, you read that letter before. I'm like, I've skimmed through it and looked at it pretty in depth. But at the time when I may have read it, just being totally honest, I may not have had all the perceptions that I have now. So when I read certain things, it may have not even mattered to me. Right. People can't even respect that my learning curve has increased since I've come around. I tell them this all the time. I've continued to learn since I've come around here. So when people don't even look at like, okay, well, he's learned. So what does that mean? That means that I've taken in more information. I've processed it and I've put it in different categories and areas where I see that it better fits. This is most suitable in this arena. This is most suitable in this venue. I have to accept that because it doesn't make sense if I put it in this arena. It doesn't make sense if I put it in this venue. These things have to go together. They can't go against each other. So if a person says to you, case in point, blackface, or the Jim Crow minstrels. The Jim Crow minstrels, right? were nothing more than white people painting themselves in black paint, right on, and making an ass of themselves in short, but it was their observation of what they saw or thought the Aboriginals acted like. Now, mind you, these are Aboriginal, these are indigenous people to the land. These aren't people that they brought here. So when folks say, well, blackface is an insult to all black people, no, actually, it's really not. It's actually, it's a direct slam at the indigenous, a direct slam at them. And because all black people want to be the same, those indigenous people or people who are indigenous to the land and can claim that righteously, they can't even get their just due credit. Right. Which is why I've been working so freaking hard to make sure that people understand that all black people aren't the same. You can't get the actual acknowledgement that you rate and deserve if they believe you're all the same. Does somebody think I'm lying when I say that? Does anybody think I've got it wrong when I say that? This is true. This is true. This is real. You can't do anything like that. Virtually impossible. And because these things take place on this level, right? This magnitude, so to speak, sometimes it's hard for those that are most involved to just step back and get away because they're waist deep, they're neck deep, they're eyeballs deep. You know what I'm saying? They're all the way in and they can't get out because they've already cast a lot that we're all the same. Which is why Pan-Africanism will never work. It'll always fail. Black people say, oh, you Africans bring that tribal stuff over here, but the blacks over here have been no less tribal for just as long. For just as long. Once again, people should be thankful that Jim Crow was invented because Jim Crow might be the only way that black people realize that they're all not the same. I might have to use that to show people. This white dude obviously knew that all black people weren't genetically the same people. And he used code words to disguise things that he didn't want people to understand. When you say things like the savage, and then you say the nigger, but then you go back to the savage, I assume that the savage and the nigger aren't the same. And then when you say the nigger savage, I assume that you've crossbred these two people. Maybe the horse and the Negro that you're talking about, or the horse and the donkey that he's talking about. Right. Because I want you to think about this. If you blood mix a person who's indigenous with a person who's not indigenous, the child, this hybrid thing, it doesn't know where to stand. It doesn't know where it actually, do you feel the grievance of the people who are from the land? Like you are, like part of your blood is, or do you feel the grievance of the people who were brought here on boats? And then they're like, well, I feel both. Right. But you stand on neither side. Causes much more confusion than it solves. People get sad about it. I don't care. Couldn't care less. Because all I got to do is, once again, go to my little library of pictures and just run through the pictures of so-called black people with straight hair. And then we'll be right back to the same spot. When they can explain why certain people do and don't grow facial hair, while certain people have thick, curly, so-called coarse hair, and other people do not, or they have semi-curly coarse hair, or they just have all-out flat, straight hair like animals. When they can explain that to me, then yeah, I'm willing to listen. But if they can't explain that to me and make sense while they do it, then they just, once again, they're the devil. And they get no, I give the devil no rest. He gets not an iota of sleep from each. There's more than one devil. There's a bunch of devils running around this planet. Many of them with different names, but all with the same intent and purpose to distract and to take off track the people who are supposed to be on track. I want you to live, not die. I want the wicked to die and not live. And I mean that. I feel nothing for people who feel nothing for me. And those people, when they perish and they become as thistles and thorns, dried up from the sun and pushed away in the wind, it's nothing. Nothing. Love not your enemies, brothers and sisters, but they don't love you. And give not to the ungrateful, for they will not appreciate what you have done. Be kind to the meek and the humble in the spirit. It's the right thing to do. Guide the lost back to the way. Everybody here right now is a shepherd in their own right. You are the shepherd of yourself in your own flesh. And when you shepherd yourself, it's easier for you to help someone else who's lost. Right. Oh, this shepherd, he's not just a sheep, he's a shepherd that's lost his way. See, this is the problem with the people, is that they don't realize that the shepherd has to work with the sheep. He can't work against them. Right. He has to work with the cattle. He can't work against them. Certain sheep help the shepherd do his job of shepherding. Though they are sheep, they, in their own right, are shepherding the other sheep. But that sheep is a shepherd of himself first, because he understands the rules. He understands not to get too far from the shepherd. He understands to sound off at all times if he thinks something is wrong, to let the shepherd know. Right. What you're supposed to do. You have to control yourself first. They will not control themselves because they have no self-control. They are not sheep. They are rams. They are goats. You see? They are bulls. They will not control themselves. Because they have the ability to march to the beat of their own drum, they misguide and mislead those who do not march to the beat of their own drum naturally. Let me tell you why Black people were able to be enslaved for so long. Outside of the fact that it was mandated by the Most High God himself, those same Black people came from a society before they ever lived in Africa, what you call Africa, for the period of about 1,000 years when they stayed there, maybe a little bit longer. But for the thousands of years that they lived in the Middle East, the society of the people that they came from, called the Chaldeans, were an ordered people. When they went into the land of Egypt, the Egyptians were an ordered people. When they went into the land of Canaan, not all of the Canaanites, but many of them were unordered people. And then they created an ordered nation. These are people who are used to order. As crucial as the slavery was, and as the bondage was, the order of it was so strict and so stringent. It's easy for a person who's subservient to fall into that, and it's easier for a person to get used to it. There is nothing worse than black people thinking that we can save ourselves if we just do what we want to do. I talk, walk, and act a specific way. There was a time to show your anger for these people. There's a time to show your disapproval. What's wrong with showing your disapproval? What's wrong with you being angry? Just don't sin. Just don't sin. Right. Right. They want you to think that you can become, once again, equal with the devil and not be the devil yourself. I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, if you attempt to be equal with the devil, you will be worse than the devil. And I'm willing to put everything I own on that. Why there's certain things I don't do. I believe that there's a level of standing up for yourself that a person must engage in. If you don't engage in this level of activity, nothing is ever going to happen for you. You can't always expect to get things done yourself by yourself, but you're the most important factor in anything that involves you. Normally, unless what you're doing is totally dependent upon another person, you are it. You're the reason why the things happen in your life or don't happen. Now, granted, there's decisions that other people make, once again, for or against you, that changes everything. Changes your entire life. But there's a lot of other things that we choose, we decide arbitrarily. Just by being at a certain place, you might have chosen a certain fate. And it doesn't always seem like that, but that is true. Just by placing yourself in a certain venue, certain location, right? Certain place, the fate that you are about to receive or undergo is one that you essentially have allowed to happen to yourself. See, ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of the law, because true accountability is blind. What I mean by that, there's a law. Pretty sure it's in the book of Leviticus. It might be in Numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's in Leviticus. There's a law that states if a man gets into a fight, right, with another man, and his wife helps him fight the man, right? If she touches this man's private area, right, he's supposed to cut the hand off that touched that man's private area. It says, your eyes shall not pity her. Right on. Did you hear me? Right. So back then, the Most High even addressed something way back then that he was like, I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't like that. I don't like that. She touched another man's genitals. And the most I might think that, yeah, she's just trying to be slick. Who knows what it is? I don't know what the prognosis is. But he's like, go ahead and cut that hand off, dog. Go ahead and get rid of that. Right. So people have to understand how rules really are meant to be played out, how justice really looks. You know what I'm saying? That's not a, it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, that's not one that people see coming. Now, once again, you want to know why the Israelites really failed? It's because they failed to enforce the legislation that they had been told to follow. It's no different than right now, where you have corrupt ass police officers, corrupt ass judges, corrupt ass lawyers, where the law says this, but we're going to do this. It was no different back then for them. Okay. Yeah, we're supposed to stone faggots when we find them, but did they kill all of them? No, they couldn't have. You know how I know that this is true? Because how did the Benjamites get to where a whole tribe of men would virtually fight for homosexuality? Now, nobody, now, a lot of people don't look at the instance where the concubine of the Levite priest who was raped all night by these Benjamite dudes, right? And she died in the morning. And and that same priest cut her. Pretty sure he was a Levite. Anyway, whatever tribe he was from, this guy cuts her into 12 pieces, sends a piece of her to each tribe. Okay. Now, what nobody really wants to think about, once again, is if the Benjamites had any level of righteousness in them, they would have killed those 500 dudes. But apparently, the Benjamites wanting to have sex with a grown man was normal to the Benjamites at that point in junction in time. Now, the only way that this could have happened is if what? People weren't enforcing the law. But more so, it's because of the blood mixing. Now, why is this important? Because this is just like everything else that I talk about in the scripture. When you don't understand how it came about, it's hard to understand how to fix it. Right. We have to know why it is that we're here. We have to know that we can't get ourselves out of this. It won't be on the strength and muscle of Black people that they get out of this situation. And even when Chaldeans inherit tabernacles, not their own, that doesn't mean that you made it, Black people. See, these motherfuckers don't even know that I know what's getting ready to come to them whenever they get it. It's pathetic. It really is. I could read to you right now in Ezekiel where it speaks on the land of Canaan. There's a symbol by it, and then it says the land of the Chaldeans. And this is just more proof that even if I wanted to argue that they were a Hamitic nation by nature, one could just say that because Abraham's children inherited that place initially, you could argue that the Chaldeans took it over because Abraham was what? Chaldean. Right. This is why the scripture is so important, to have read the scripture, to have put enough of your time into the actual words that are on the page, that are written, so that way you have your own actual understanding for it. Nobody can tell you to read the Bible. It's not going to be a crazy super duper video, but I'm putting together the audio probably this week. Each day that I get off, I'll probably record a little bit, so that way by Wednesday or Thursday I can have it out. You know, these 12.5-hour days are vicious, you know. But the new gumbo, I really can't wait to try to just like break into like the scripture at a whole different angle and a whole different way that, you know, than I've been coming at it, because I accept that people don't want to accept that genetics come from the Bible. I get that now. So because they don't want to believe that, I'd rather just go at it at another angle and direction, and hopefully, you know, and I'm gonna. I'll bring up Middle Earth here and there, but it's like I'll be able to point out a bunch of different things, you know, because I'm going to use the Book of Enoch to support many of the things that I'm saying. So when I read certain stuff in scriptures, I'll do my best to go into the Book of Enoch where I've read similar things, and I'll read it to people, and I'll try to, you know, make the comparisons there. But just to bring it up, I was reading the Book of Enoch, right? And there's this one passage where he talks about like there's a mountain of iron and lead and gold and silver and soft metal, and pretty much it was like, you know, all these things are going to melt pretty much in the face of the Messiah, and they won't be help to anyone. And then there's like a more literal, physical based meaning for it all. But I can't help but to think that when I read it, I was like, are they talking about like some type of like a sun sword, like a lightsaber that the Messiah is diddy bopping around with? Like, because the only way something the only way that something metal melts is if something very hot touches it. I mean, I don't know how to, you know, I mean, for me, it's just, I have to just do something different. You know what I mean? Like I have to, because there's no point in trying to argue or contend anything if the people aren't receptive. Once again, motherfuckers didn't like the Ballad of Jonesy. I couldn't care less. Want to know why? Because when you don't respect somebody's time and effort and what they're doing, I had to put in the Ballad of Jonesy the different things that were already said so people could hear them again, just because they didn't even believe it. But they don't even want to believe a nigga when he's saying it's basic shit. The shit that I'm saying about genetics is basic. It's so little, so minute that a real geneticist would be angry, because I've taken things that are more complicated at a much higher level, and I've brought them so damn low that they're not going to come from their glory cloud and come down. Look, y'all, please be patient. Oh man, bro, but it's just one of the things, bro, where people don't understand that I have my own way of looking at stuff. You know what I'm saying? My own way of looking at it. What? Oh, bro, you can't be listening to this type of shit at work, man. I am not politically correct, dog. You will get fired listening to me at work. You will get fired listening to this shit at work. Man, but that's the thing though, bro. I'm trying to tie everything together. So when you say that about genetics, let's talk about eugenics real quick, right? and Francis Galton, and how he used his cousin Charles Darwin's theory and arch nemesis Gregor Mendel to support his bullshit. Man, it gets so, once again, a person would have to appreciate what I'm trying to bring to the table. This shit is so deep, y'all. This shit is so deep. It's so epic. You know, I love y'all so much because I know that. See, once again, I know you guys get it, but that's not fair. You know, it's just like being it's just like being like that one good cousin and you're with the rest of your badass cousins, and because you've been good all day, all these punk ass niggas get a reward, but they've been treating you like shit all day. It's like you guys are like that good cousin. You know what I mean? Like there's no reward for you guys for knowing what you know. You know what I mean? But in the end, there's probably going to be people who benefit from the fact that you know what you know. I know it sounds shitty. I know you're like, what the fuck? What that does, it makes people believe that that person is a business. Right on? When they see the PayPal links and they see the ads, it gives the idea that it's a business. Right on? And they're here on official business. So they create stigmata, if you will, by doing so and engaging in those activities. Once again, they may not like it, but only the devil would do that. Only the devil. How badly do you want the people to have the information if there's an ad in it? How valuable is the information if you put an advertisement in it? Oh no. I would never have done it in the first place. Because I hate I hate the ads. I hate it. You know. But once again, the ad gives their channel this business feeling. You see what I'm saying? It gives it a more so-called professional it gives them a more professional feel to the people. I don't know how to say it. Come on. The Talkovists, man. I'm trying to tell you that man. You know. But the Talkovists has been getting paid a long time doing that. Selling out. You know. So they're only doing what is in their blood. You know, once again, they're just being who they normally are. This is that they're being who they are. Oh no, but you do have a reward coming. You just don't get the gratification of people taking you serious. If you say anything that I've ever said here, you might end the argument and ultimately win the argument, but you probably just gained an enemy forever. Using the stuff that I say, you will have enemies. That's why I always tell y'all, don't go around here saying none of the crazy shit that I say, fix it how you say it. Because if you say it just how I say it, you're gonna have enemies. There's no question. If you tell a white person who has blonde hair and blue eyes that because you have funny colored skin, funny colored eyes, and funny colored hair, they're gonna feel some type of way. Even if they don't bat an eyelash and not one of their skin molecules gives away how they felt about that. Trust me, on the inside, the little devil inside of them is doing backflips and tumbles and is choking their esophagus, all kinds of shit. That little devil inside of them is going crazy. Okay, you don't need to say none of the crazy stuff I say to these people, unless you're looking to obviously get them all riled up like that. Oh no, it's not gonna go over well, but I don't care. And that's why I don't always comb my hair. You see what I'm saying? I see, because I look crazy most of the time to them. They don't try me. They're like, no, he probably really is crazy. And I'm not about to find out the hard way that he is. So, and that's just how it is. If my hair is all picked out and combed or whatever, and I talk like that, they act like they understand what I'm saying. It's just kind of funny. They'd be like, I get it, but that's not all white people, or that's not all whatever people. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but there's black people who enjoy selling crack cocaine to other black people. They enjoy it. They try to make other black people become drug addicts. Right on. The devil. The devil. Y'all don't know the kind of characters I have known, man. I have known some fucked up people. I'm trying to tell you, I have not been a man. Woo! I have been a character myself in this life. Why I'm still alive? No idea. But I've known people that have done some foul, unscrupulous things. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, there's a list of rap songs about selling dope to people, but I'm talking about like guys who aren't rappers. You feel me? Your everyday run of the mill, trying to make $1 type niggas. And I try not to call Pookie and Ray Ray's Pookie and Ray Ray because that's a. I'm just wondering when the term is going to be considered only usable for people who are real pieces of shit. That's like the dude who was calling himself Killmonger, right? He came in here a couple times. He was called, and then he called himself Womb Raider, right? And I'm like, now if you guys listen to any of this dude's videos, this dude sounded like he was fresh into Heartbreak or something, right? And I'm just like, man, why is this guy making videos right now? He's, like there's a certain mentality you have to be in to be able to put information out, And just because you say stuff that you think is okay, or didn't sound that bad coming out, doesn't mean that shit wasn't crazy. You know what I mean? Oh no, and I feel you, bro. I feel you, bro. But I'm just saying. And what was it? Because the dude came in here one night and he was acting up, and that's the only night I ever changed the video, right? Like changed the name of the video right in the middle of it. It was supposed to be like a Sunday night chat, then it got turned into the African Pookie because he claimed he was African, talking on some ghetto nigga points, right? And I'm like, see, these dudes come over here and become just like that. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing, though. He might really be African. Can you feel me? This dude might really be African. That's the worst part. Now, shout out once again to my nigga Melvis Usidame, but power and name, you feel me? But I don't fuck with a whole lot of these cats who ain't from the turf like that. I just don't. I don't fuck with them like that from the turf. I got a little thing I'm doing for Melvis right now I'm looking into. So look out for that, really, because that'll probably come out before the little spiritual gumbo does. But But yeah, there's just too much going on, y'all. There's just too much going on, and I refuse to allow myself to be in that type of position where I feel like I'm questioning or calling out somebody for all like the wrong stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's no, just not doing it. But anyway, it was just one of those things where it's like a cat either faked or was being whatever the fuck he was being. It doesn't even matter. It's just the fact that he was here and he changed the energy so much that it gave it, once again, that term Pookie Ray Ray thing. I don't really care for that too much. You know what I mean? It makes me giggle sometimes, but it's not funny, and I shouldn't laugh at it because it's really a vulgar term that puts certain black men, under a hostile light, and it makes it seem as if they don't do anything for their people. But some of those people are producers, and they're not selling poison to nobody, and they're not doing nothing to anybody that's actually wrong. They found a nice little niche that works for them. A lot of those guys struggle every day. A lot of those guys make hard decisions like, okay, I'm gonna go without eating and I'm gonna feed my babies. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully things get better today, tomorrow, next month, whatever. And because they suffer, once again, it questions their faith. It makes them question their faith, test their faith. These are people who just can't. Sometimes people don't respect it. Sometimes people do. You know. But look, y'all, it's 7:12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know it's later than that for some of y'all, so I got literally like 3 or 4 more minutes, and I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna let everybody carry on with their day, the night, excuse me. Talk, walk, and act. You can only talk so much before I know that you're just a talkative. You can only do so much walking before I know that, you know what, they're not trying to act. And if you take action before you do any of the other two things, I know that you're not one to think. A person must practice all three of these together in unison to achieve goals that they set out. No goal is ever going to be easily achieved. Not one. It's a goal to wake up tomorrow, but that has very little to do with you. You can't make your heart continue to beat. You don't make your brain think. You don't make the brain do anything that it does. It does all that all by itself. So the goal of living from one day to the other is you as the soul that is governing the vessel, and the mind that is in the body that is controlling the vessel, and the vessel itself that sends you signals through the environment that we live. You see, you must keep all three of those in unison. They must all work together. The vessel must not be allowed to act by itself. The mind must not be able to act without the vessel. Because acting in your mind, you will do nothing. And the soul must not be tampered with when you are in the motion of action. I am saying that one shall not, cannot, should not, and will not defile their soul. Spiritual fornication, brothers and sisters, is a sin. It is an evil that is that is, in many regards and in many ways, to be looked at as something that is completely evil. It is the ultimate sin against the Most High. I am who I say I am, not because I want to be, but because I am. I don't want to be in the position that I'm in with the law, but I am, because that's what it is. Because I am who I am. The talkivist will be able to tell you that he's your voice. He speaks for you. Don't speak for anybody. Right on? You speak for yourself. You're a grown man or a grown woman. I'm not the voice for the people. I'm just Demetrius. I'm just Demetrius Antoine Jones. That's all I am. That's it. I'm not the face of the people. I'm not none of that. But for these jokers who claim to be your mouthpiece, you might want to tell them that I need to see your face. Because, in short, the creators of Amos and Andy are two white guys. But when they put it on TV, they portrayed it as two black men. So I need to make sure that you're not a white Amos and Andy trying to get me to do something that you could never do because you're actually not us. See, that's why it's important to be able to see these people, because what sounds like they're trying to empower you through action, they may be leading you to the slaughter. If they talk, they must walk. And if they walk, they must act. It is that simple, my brothers and my sisters. It is that simple. With that, salute you. My love, my appreciation, and my gratification are extended to you in the most humblest of ways. I pray that this week is just like all the other weeks that you had. It's a week that you survived through. I pray that I'm able to continue to find my way and my niche. I will eventually. I'm got a little court date this week, so I'm probably a little bit tired again this week. But as soon as I got the stuff with court figured out, and I know that I don't have to show up nowhere in a week or two or whatever, I'm gonna really try to start, with the little bit of time that I do have. When I get home, I'm gonna really do my best to, if not crank out, a video or two or whatever, just to do a small stream, and if not a small stream, just to do a small recording and then upload it. I can do that. I think I can do that. I'm pretty sure I can. However, again, we are done for the night. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all to death. You guys take it easy.